The reading of Genesis chapter 13 onwards. And Abram went out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, Lot with him down to the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been, at the beginning between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar, where he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. The Lord also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and ten, and the lad was not able to bear them that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt in the land. And Abraham said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and my herdsmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. And if thou wilt depart from the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere. Before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. And Lot chose unto him all the plain of Jordan. And Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves from one to another. Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abraham, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward, eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. And Abraham removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. Chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel king of Shinar, Arioch king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of the nations, that these made war with Peras king of Sodom, and with Bersha king of Gomorrah, Shinab king of Admah, and Shebanar king of Sebolim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the salt sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 30th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer, and the kings that were with him, and smote Rephaims in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzims in Ham, and the Emims in Shaveh Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their Mount Seir, unto El Param, which is by the wilderness. And they returned, and came to En-Mishath, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, and dwelt in Hazion Zon Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Seboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar. And they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim. And Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and the king Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all the victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abraham the Hebrew that he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, the brother of Anna. And these were confederate with Abraham. And when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against him, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah. which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and the king of the kings that were with him of the valley of Sheva, which is in the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine. He was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham, the Most High God, of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which has delivered thine enemies into thy hands. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldst say, I have made Abram rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. And after these things, chapter 15, and after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceedingly great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thy heir, and he shall come forth from thine own bowels, and of thine own heir. And he brought them forth and said, Look now unto heaven, and tell the stars, if thou shalt be able to number them. And he said unto them, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted into him for righteousness. And he said unto them, I am the Lord that brought thee out of your Ur of Chaldees, to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said unto him, Take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took him all this, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. For the birds he divided not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcass, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go forth to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it shall come to pass, when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between these pieces. The same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river of Euphrates, the Kenites and the Kenizzites, and the Kadmonites, and the Hittites and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. And chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid and an Egyptian, whose name